Good morning. Thought I'd do a longer video today going over some concepts that have begun to develop since starting the TCG player bulk trials. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video. I've had a lot of things happen that I didn't know when I started TCG player, and I apologize for the light. The sun's coming right through the window, but we do got our Locomocha. I usually get the Mean Bean, but today I was feeling a little bit spunky, so I got my Locomocha. So, if I did bulk on TCG Player, how would I do it? From what I've learned so far, I have learned that foil and holographic cards have a much higher sell-through rate than non-holographic foil cards. And I know you're watching, you're like, oh, that's duh, no, retard, duh, everybody know. I didn't know, but I know now. So what I would do is I would keep, but I also know, because we did 2 trials. With the second trial, we sold an insane amount of non-holographic player staple cards. So I know up front that if I had 50,000 cards sitting in front of me and I didn't have any knowledge whatsoever, and someone had told me, based on the information that you do have, let me put it that way, the information you do have, what are you keeping? Now, I don't know individual cards. I don't know if one Snorlax from Ascended is different from a Snorlax from Sun and Moon. I don't know the values. I couldn't tell anyone the values. But I do know that if one was a holographic and one was not, from what I have learned, I would generally choose the holographic card. Does this apply to vintage cards? No, but I'm talking in general. So right off the bat, what would I do? I would sift out everything that was just for speed, because a huge amount of time goes into sorting and picking for what cards, right? And I don't have machines to do it for me. So I've got to get that time low. I would pick out every card that was foil and holographic to list, and every non-player card that was a Pokemon or a player card that is not being used in the top 5 decks, it's not the engine running those top 5 Pokemon decks, I would sell it back out to a bulk company. I would not list it. I would want all of my money back for those cards. I want as little money in the cards as possible. So I'd want to get all my money back if I could. What I would also begin to do is, and I know this is going to be very taboo, but I've seen how long it takes to ship, and what I would do, because when we went from the first trial to the second trial, we went from basically 360 cards up to a little over 1,000. The sell-through from 360 to 1,000 is unbelievable. For example, with the 360, we sold about 15 cards. With the 1,000 cards, we sold about 1/3 of the cards. So it was a little over 300 cards. So on TCG Player, it appears, at least from those 2 examples, now it could, I don't know that's the thing. I don't know the reason behind that. Like, is it because I had 4 of every kind of card, and that's more attractive to players? That could be one of the main reasons why. So, but the general gist of the whole thing is that you have the potential to sell much more numerically than a smaller store does. I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that. Like, it blew my mind. Oh my gosh, when there's more, people buy more. Is that how Buc-ee's is staying in business? Like, I've been thinking about Buc-ee's gas stations, right? They're these monstrosities. And their stuff is more expensive. Like, if you ever go into a Buc-ee's and look, like, their stuff is not cheap. And I'm like, you can go across the street to the little convenience shop over there and their stuff is cheaper. But there's one car in the parking lot of that store over there, and there's 50,000 people in this Buc-ee's. What is it about Buc-ee's? Well, it's bigger. They have everything. They have everything. They have 6 billion types of beef jerky. At the other store, you have one beef jerky. They have 5 million options. You want to park on the north, you like parking on the south side of a store. They got a south side you can get your gas on. Well, south ain't doing it for you. Park on the north side. They got pumps all around. I mean, if you're directional specific, you know, if you identify with south, you can park on the south. So they have a massive, massive store. And because of that, they are priced higher and they sell more. Now, in my mind, trailer park mind that I am, I'm going across the street to get the cheap crap. That's how I am. But that's not how other people are. That's not how other people are. Other people want to go to the Buc-ee's. I know, because I look across the street, I'm like, why are they all in that Buc-ee's? Oh, good God, it's like a Walmart over there. So you would have to have a massive store. Okay, and I said all that to say this. I would not run my store 7 days a week. I wouldn't. I would run my store Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 days. The 3 biggest days of spending in the week. I would run it those 3 days. I would make all of my inventory available over that time period. I would not ship anything until Monday morning. So I would capture the 3 largest days for purchasing, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, when most people have their paycheck. And because my store's not open 7 days a week and it's running over the weekend, and those 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, are not calculated into TCG Player shipping policy, Monday becomes the first business day of shipping. So I would use that policy to ship everything on Monday. I would ship 1 time a week. 1 time a week. I would remove, that's another bottleneck. I haven't even talked about that bottleneck, but shipping is another bottleneck. I would remove all of that bottleneck by shipping 1 time a week. And I would capture the 3 largest days. On the off days, what I would do is I would list, let's say I would start with an arbitrary number, like 250 cards a day, whatever. Something that I think I could actually do. I would list that amount of cards every single day. I would only list the amount of cards that I could consistently list the exact same number every single day. Period. I would only list that amount. So from there, let's see, we've got the stores would be set up on the weekend. We're shipping 1 time a week. Oh, another bottleneck that I ran into that I would remove. I would try to, if it was a smaller bulk set that I was purchasing, I would try to get it delivered as close to my house as possible instead of driving to pick it up. For example, the first couple pickups that I did, I was driving, well, one pickup I drove 1.5 hours south of my house to pick it up. That's 3 hours. Sorry, I'm not doing that for 2,000 or 3,000 cards. I don't care how much people like bulk. I'm not driving 3 hours for 2,000 cards. Another one I drove an hour south, and then another one I drove an hour or 45 minutes or an hour. I guess it would be east. So I have a little country city next to me, about 7 miles south of me, and I would ask that it be delivered to that city. And I would even pay them a little bit extra money to deliver it to that city. Would anybody do that? I have no clue. I haven't been able to get anybody to deliver cards. I told one guy, he only lived like an hour from me. I told him, I will pay you $50 to deliver those cards. I haven't heard back from him, which I'm glad, because his count was wrong on his cards. He told me he had 5,000 cards, and then he said he had 9 ETBs, and 9 ETBs is not 5,000 cards. So, or I'm not, sorry, not 5,000, 7,000 cards. 9 ETBs is not 7,000 cards. So there would have been a problem with that. So I'm glad he didn't message me back. So I would load my store Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. I'd go live Friday at 5. And I would have, every time I went online, because I'm uploading cards into the store when cards are not selling out of the store, my goal would be to, every time I open, my store be larger than the previous week. That would be my own personal goal. I want a larger store every time I go online. That makes the store more valuable. It's like that Buc-ee's analogy. The larger the store is, the more valuable it becomes. So I would try to get my store larger every time I went online. I'd remove the bottleneck of shipping by shipping 1 day a week. I'd leverage the 3 highest spending days on TCG Player right after people get their paychecks. I would use all of that to my favor. I would ask that product be delivered. If I couldn't get product delivered, I might just have to bite the bullet, or I would look for larger bulk collections. Larger, not 2,000 or 3,000 cards, 20 or 30,000 cards, because then that changes the hourly, that changes the value, that changes the pain and suffering of having to go get a 2,000 cards that has, $50 in value in it after you sell everything. And well, you've got 6 to 7 hours put into $50 that only has $50 of value in it after you pay for it. So you can't spend 7 hours to make $50. You can't. I don't care what anybody says. You can't. If there's only $50 of value in it, that's all you can get out of it is $50. You can't give 7 hours to $50. Those are the things that I would do if I was a bulk seller on TCG Player. I'd grow the store. I'd remove the bottleneck of shipping by shipping 1 day a week. I would, this is a hack. In case you don't know it, this is a hack. Every seller that purchased from me, that purchased large amounts or large volumes of cards, let's say 100 cards or more, before I go live on Friday, I would send them an email. This is a hack. Most people will never ever use this hack. I do this hack with my eBay store when I list large quantities of hats and things that people want, clothing that I know they're looking, or product that I know they're looking for. They get an email from me. At this time, I am going live. I'm selling all the cards this much below market with whatever my floor is, 15 cents or whatever, I don't know. And I would notify them. I would only email the people that purchased extremely large quantities of cards, because I don't want to sell one-offs to 500 different people. Timmy bought one Palkia worth a dime. Okay, you lose a 50 cents on the transaction. You don't want to sell to that. You You want to sell to the guy that comes through and spends $100 every time he comes through. So I would begin to build a list of clients that purchase large quantities over time, and I send them an email. I tell them how big the store is. I tell them what's in the store. I tell them, basic gist of things, where I'm going to price everything at. Come and get it. Goes live at this time. And I would begin to build. Most likely those clients are resellers on eBay. So I would begin to primarily build business-to-business transactions. Business to business. I would also, in some capacity, have some type of QR code that is attached to my product, because if you can ever get to a place where people will ship you their product, even if it's not bulk, where they'll ship you their product, I would begin to build that. Hey, I buy product. Here's how. So everyone that gets product from me, there's a QR code attached. Oh, I have bulk. Let me send it to him. I have these cards I don't want. He gives 50 cents for EXs. He gives whatever. Give them a way to sell their stuff to you. These are some of the thoughts that I have. If I were to run a TCG player business, that's how I would do it. I wouldn't stress myself out shipping 7 days a week. Not going to happen.